Well, hello there and welcome back to our little adventure in Eve. And we just completed a bunch of skills apparently. It's been a while since I logged in. I've actually been playing a bit of my main accounts. Let's just claim biology for some reason. That's okay. I forgot that there were these daily log on. You have unclaimed items to redeem. Yeah, let's just... don't need the other just yet, so let's just redeem to current station. You have successfully redeemed your items. Well, thank you. And then we have some unclaimed rewards. So let's just claim all of that. Get some more ISK for doing all this kinds of stuff. So, first thing first, episode 4, when I was trying to explain pockets and, yeah, basically just pockets, I was actually talking about grids. So I will just get that out of the way. And I actually had to... just to make sure that I wasn't filling you with false information, I actually looked it up, and they changed how grid works, because the reason I was talking about grids was that you could actually do a lot of shenanigans with it back in the day. You cannot do that anymore, so grids are not as relevant as they used to be. But basically, almost every single object, being planets, stations, gates, the sun, moons, asteroid belts, basically everything you can warp to has a grid, and that grid is a sphere, in case you didn't know what a sphere was, but it is 8,000 meters, not 8,000 meters, 8,000 kilometers from the sort of center, and then all the way around it. There are some places, for instance, Jita, which is sort of the main trade hub of EVE Online. We will definitely go to that cesspool at one point, so you can see it. Just filled with scammers and criminals and all kinds of villains and scum. There are some good people in Jita, don't get me wrong. But yeah, Jita is... the grids in the trade hub is way bigger. I'm not sure of the number, but I think it might be some 70,000 kilometers. But basically, as I was saying, every single grid, including your own grid, is 8,000 kilometers. So if I were to fly, just go straight up like this. If I were to fly 8,000 kilometers away from this station, I would then exit the station's grid, and I would then be in my own grid, which I would continue to move along with me, just being 8,000. And as I said, the reason why I wanted to talk about grids was because you could actually do some shenanigans back in the days where grids were much, much smaller. You could actually, if you had a really fast ship, you could actually extend the grid just for you, so you were able to make these sort of vantage points above gates where you could sit and look at the gate and see everyone that came through that gate, but they weren't able to see you. But with them having changed the grid sizes to 8,000 kilometers, you cannot do that anymore. And so basically there's no point. But just know that that is what a grid is. So no matter where you are in a space, not in a space, but in a sector, if you are within 8,000 kilometers of something, then you are on grid with that place. If you were to be out in the middle of nowhere, then you will be in your own grid of 8,000 kilometers, and that will just keep moving. So every single station, basically every single object you can warp to, has an 8,000 kilometer grid attached to it.
Docking permission requested.
And pockets we will cover once we get to a pocket, what a true pocket is, and we will get to see that in when we start to get a bit further into missions and maybe do some scanning sites and things like that, depending on what we do. So with that out of the way, and I'm sorry for the mix-up, but it has been quite a long time since I played Eve. But as I was saying in the first episode, I definitely want to go faction warfare with Galente. This is also why I changed the thumbnail to actually show that now. Please Any feedback, any tips and tricks are always welcome. I know it will be a little bit of time before I sign up for Faction Warfare, and I think that I don't think I will be recording everything. Please let me know if you want to see everything up until that point, but I'll just pause the recordings, and then whenever there is something going on, me having to talk about something or something interesting happens, I will definitely resume the recording and sort of give my 2 cents and maybe give a few tips and tricks. I have also thought about doing just straight up tutorial videos, so please let me know if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason. Now, this might be a bit of a different case because there's actually a new thing to talk about, which are implants. But I don't think there's anything sort of worthwhile for me to show that I accept this mission and I go do the mission.
Offered are added to your opportunities interface. Open it to take a look.
Yeah, what do you want me to see here, Aura? You want me to click filters, agent missions, enforcer, combat? What do you want me to do here? Click this, click filters. What do you want me to do here, Aura?
Here you can view the mission briefing, objectives, and rewards. When you are ready, you may close the window.
Yeah, Aura, I could also just see everything right here. Not sure why you have that when you can just look at this thing here. But yeah, we will definitely talk about implants because they are really important. But for now, let's just check. We have nothing really equipped. We only have an afterburner, the 3 guns we got, some antimatter charges, and the shield hardness. Did we actually leave some stuff behind? Yeah, there's no reason to save these, so I will just trash that. I know I say I'm a hoarder, and I am a giant hoarder. A huge loot whore and hoarder in the EVE Online, but I actually like to keep my station sort of tight and not have stuff. I try to gather all my loot in one place so I can just sit around and look at my precious loot. But yeah, I don't like to have it. These are just civilian items. So just very briefly, and I have actually gone over that limit quite a few times. So there's basically no limit to how many stations you can have items in and ships in, and you can own as many ships and as many items as you want. You can, however, only store 1,000 unique items in any given item vault. But again, that is a lot of unique items. I haven't found a stack cap. So for instance, there is 100 iridium charges. I have had some ammunition types go well above, I want to say well above 1 million, but that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I have definitely gone well above 500,000 of certain ammunition types. So I don't know if there is a sort of stack cap, but 1,000 unique items in any single item hanger. You could have 10 stations filled with 1,000 unique items if you wanted to. You're not paying for your personal asset. You're not paying for ships in your ship hangars. There is, to my knowledge, no limit to that. At least I have never encountered it. Only the 1,000 unique item limit. So with that out of the way, let's just undock, and I will just pause the recording because I want to get to the let me just talk while I do this. I want to actually get to the faction warfare rather quickly. But I also do want to do the career agents. And yeah, we have completed a bunch of skills. I also do want to complete the career agents just to, you know, fresh up on a lot of things and see what they have to offer. So now we can actually talk a bit about pockets. Right now we are on grid with this acceleration gate. And these acceleration gates, I don't know if you're able to see it. No, you can't actually see it here. But these acceleration gate sometimes acts as, how should I phrase it? They sometimes acts as a barrier, only allow in that they only allow certain ships to activate the gate. Meaning that if I, for instance, were flying a huge battleship, I may not be able to activate this acceleration gate and enter into this career agent's mission. It is a sort of way of limiting people from entering with certain ship types. It also has the effect of taking you to a pocket. So let's go ahead and activate the gate. We need to be within 200 meters of it. And you will find that a lot of things operate on within 2,500 meters. For instance, you can only loot wrecks within 2,500 meters. You can only dock within 2,500 meters. So 2,500 meters is a number that's kind of continuous throughout EVE. Intruders, don't let them get away. So now we are in the first pocket, and sometimes the pocket is simply just a term for this mission area, and sometimes you will have multiple gates taking you to other pockets. But for now, and usually you need to kill every single enemy before you can activate the next gate. There are also missions where there is a sort of a bonus pocket or a bonus room where you need a certain item to activate the last gate to take you to that bonus room. But we will cover that once we encounter that. So let's just turn everything on and let's just get to shooting. And again, we have optimal range of 3,300. Let's just check. Yeah, we are orbiting within 300, so that's all good. So let's just get these destroyed up, and I will just pause the recording, and I will see you guys. Oh, now, what just happened there? And I'm not sure what the trigger is in this mission, but sometimes you have what I like to call trigger ships, because sometimes when you enter a pocket like this, you have a certain number of enemies, but there might be one of those enemy ships that serve as a trigger ship for the next wave to come in. There might be multiple hidden waves in a room like this. We do not want to shoot him. We want to actually orbit him instead. There might be 4 waves in a room when you enter it, but only the first wave is visible. One of the ships of the first wave might act as the trigger ship, so if you happen to destroy that ship, then you might actually trigger the second wave to come in. That second wave might also have a trigger ship, so if you destroy that, then you might trigger the third wave, and all of a sudden you have triggered every single wave to come in, and you will actually get overwhelmed. Now, if you want to check it, and I think this might just be more important for later level missions. So missions go from level 1, being the easiest, all the way up to level 5. Level 5 missions are a bit special in that they can only occur in lowsec and nullsec, I think, and they are really tough to do because you then run the risk of being destroyed. But level 4 missions you can do in highsec. Usually you need some very high level ships, being either faction cruisers, battle cruisers, or battleships, with, of course, we do not want to fire at him yet, with, of course, their Tech 2 versions being able to do level 4 missions, but sometimes in level 4 missions it can be really important to know what triggers the next wave, because unless you are flying a really good ship, have really good skills, and here I'm talking about Eve skills, then you might actually end up killing yourself because you are triggering way too many waves and you just get overwhelmed and then you get killed. So one thing you can do is you can take the mission name, and that would be, let's just look at that. In this case, this one, cash flow for capsuleers. You can actually Google, just type in maybe Eve and then the mission name, and then say level 4. If it's a level 4 missions, there are certain missions that have the same names, whether or not they are level 1 or level 4, they will be called the same mission name. So you need to also specify, and I will show an example of that if we ever get into high-level missions. But it can be very good if you are starting out and you have no idea what to expect, to actually Google the mission name, so you find out, okay, what am I going to be facing in this mission? Are there any triggers? There might also be, I don't know if this is, no, this is nothing, but there might be certain structures inside a mission pocket, where if you attack that mission structure, it might spawn some bonus enemies that you can then kill and of course get the bounties from. But there is also another thing to cover regarding high-level missions in terms of what damage to deal and what resistance to equip. But we will cover that once we get there. I don't think it's important until you hit certain level 2 missions, but it will definitely be important for level 3, and it will be necessary for level 4 missions to actually equip the right type of damage resistors and deal preferably the correct damage type. But we will cover that in a bit of a later episode if we ever get into missions, or it might be covered in one of my set tutorial missions if people are interested in that.
Warp drive active.
Yeah, this was just what I was saying. The acceleration gate was guarded. We needed to take care of that. So here we need to destroy Wolf's outpost, and this might just trigger. Looks like you find the pirate outpost. Your instructions were to destroy it. I would recommend leaving the loot in the wreck after you obliterate. Obliterate. I cannot pronounce that word, but I want to. I know I can pronounce that word. I would recommend leaving the loot in the wreck after you forget it. After you destroy the structure. You would not want to be caught trying to jump between systems with contraband in your cargo hold. The local security forces do not look kindly upon such activities. So yeah, there are illegal items in Eve, and I'm not 100% sure. See, we just started attacking the structure, and it actually forced some enemies to appear. Some corvettes, but also some sentries. Now these sentries can sometimes be really important to take out, because they can do all kinds of nasty shit to your ship apart from just dealing damage to you. But we will again cover that whenever it happens, which it most definitely will. And yeah, as you can see, you can fly through some objects. Some objects you can fly through, but a lot of objects you actually can just fly through. It is a bit of a shame that you can sometimes do that in Eve, but yeah, there are no true collision detection in Eve, unfortunately. Can we actually get you destroyed? We are not dealing a lot of damage. We are actually taking quite a lot of damage here. Let's just try and get you destroyed. So yeah, this is one of the places, well, not one of the places, one of the cases where we can actually hit a target from further than our fall of range, because it is just a stationary target. These sentries do not move. It's a sort of turret in space, and we could probably go to 8,000 meters and still hit it. We would probably deal less damage, and we might not hit every shot, but there is a pretty good chance that we would hit a stationary object like that. So let's just get this thing destroyed up. And again, I think I'll just pause the recording. There is nothing really going on here except me just destroying some ships. So I'll see you guys in just a second. And the ships are destroyed. We just need to destroy Wolf's outpost. There might be more enemies trigger once we get it further down into armor or structure. There might not be, but we will see. But yeah, what I was saying before is that there are illegal items in EVE in terms of what the NPC high-sec corporations will accept. There are drugs that you can smuggle, and you actually used to. I'm not sure you can anymore, but there actually used to be quite a lot of money to be made from drug running back in the days. I don't think it's anything that's worthwhile doing anymore. I used to do a little bit of it back in the days. You could get some faction standing with you could get faction standing with Pirate Corps by selling these contraband and smuggling them to other stations. But yeah, you would risk getting scanned every time you jumped into a sector whenever you had contraband in your cargo hold, and it's just not worth doing, at least not to my knowledge anymore. This time there was nothing illegal in it. So yeah, let's just dock up, and I will just see you guys once we have docked up. And here we are back in the station, so let's just talk to our career agent. He will give us a bonus reward in terms of ISK because we completed the mission within the time given. You don't fail the mission, you just lose out on the bonus reward. Should this, I think it's 6 hours for every single mission. There is a bonus reward that you will get if you complete it within 6 hours. But our reward is this little implant here, a limited ocular filter.
You can access the Air Career program via your neocom.
Thank you. Why would I want to do that? What do you want to tell me? Okay, so we are almost done with the Enforcer career agent. So, what are implants and how are they important? Well, implants will raise your attributes, and there is attributes in the game. Now, unless they change something, implants go from +1 to +5. +5 being the highest, in case you didn't know numbers. I'm such an idiot. Of course, +5 is the highest. So you have 5 attributes. These are pretty standard, some of them. Perception, memory, willpower, intelligence, and charisma. Now, every single skill in EVE, I do not want
I
this.
must say, Captain, you've handled yourself remarkably well. If you find yourself confused as you explore the stars, there is a help section available in the agency.
Thank you, Aura. Are you done now? So, attributes affect how many skill points you get per hour, per second, per minute. And I don't think you can actually see this number within EVE. But you can see here that every single skill category is governed by 2 attributes. So for instance, gunnery and missiles are governed by perception and willpower. The higher, so the main one, and it is primary, secondary. You can also see it if you choose to go into missiles and then just show info. You can see here primary attribute, perception, secondary attribute, willpower. Now, the higher these 2 are, up to a certain limit, you will gain more skill points per hour when you also per second. It's just called skill point per hour. That's how it used to be measured in a third-party program called EveMon, which I might cover at one point, but let's see. I don't really use EveMon anymore. But the higher these 2 attributes are, the more skill points you get. At the beginning of the game, you start with just pretty even out attributes, And as you can see here, we have a neural remap available, including a bonus remap available. I think this is what you always start with. You start with one neural remap available now, and you start with 2 bonus remaps available. So in terms of attribute, and this is speaking from an Omega standpoint, you would of course just have that when you are dealing with being an alpha. I'm not sure if you can actually see how much skill points you are getting. That is a bit annoying. Can you see it here? To replace, is there any way to show how many skill points you are getting? No, there might not be. But I think, and I'm not 100% sure of the number, but I think if you had, there's a limit. Let me just show the remap. So what you can do is you can take out all of these attributes, and then you would go to 17 in all of them. And for instance, if you then were to train missiles, and don't necessarily do this, let me just start by saying that this is not something you necessarily want to do. But let's say you, for some reason, and there are cases where you definitely want to do it, but let's say if you were to boost up perception, you would go all the way up in perception because if you wanted to train missiles, perception is the primary, and then you want to go, was it willpower? Yeah, it was willpower. Then you want to spend the rest of the point in willpower. If I were to save changes now, then my attributes would be remapped to this. I would lose this neural remap, and it will be 1 year before I get the neural remap back. I have 2 bonus remaps that I can use at any time, but bonus remaps do not get replaced. So it's not like if you don't use a remap for a year, you get a bonus remap back. It doesn't work like that. CCP used to, on very rare occasions back in the day, to just hand out a bonus remap to every single character in the game. I don't think that has happened for quite some years now. I'm not sure if you can buy bonus remaps, but just know that when you remap, it's going to be a year before you can remap again, unless you have bonus remaps available. And assume that these don't get replenished ever, the bonus remaps. But if you did this, you would of course be able to train every single skill that has perception and willpower as primary and secondary. You would be able to train them much faster. Every other skill, however, that involves memory, intelligence, or charisma would train much slower. And that's why, especially in the beginning of the game, do not remap. Do not even consider remapping, because you will lock yourself into training a very specific group of skills. And in the beginning, you want to sort of broaden out and get the Magic 14 skills, which I will remember to show at one point what the Magic 14 skills are. But if not, just Google Eve Magic 14 and you will see for yourselves. But once you get further into the game and get a lot more of your basic skills trained, and for instance, if you know you want to be using missiles and you just want to train, then you can definitely remap to trainings, missiles and gunnery, but you are kind of committing yourself for at least a year of training only those skill groups that you remap into. I hope that makes sense. So of course, implants are just a nice way of increasing your attributes and just for free get more skill points. And I think, and this is the number, please don't hold me to it, but I think if you were an Omega and you did this, went all the way up in perception and willpower, and you had, it doesn't matter if it's a full set, but let's just say you had a full set of +5 implants, I think you would be getting, it might be per day, I think you would be getting, it might be an hour, I'm not sure, but the number that comes to mind is 2,400 skill points. I think it's per hour. Let me just check that real quick. Yeah, so it is per hour, but the number is 2,700 skill points per hour if you were to remap and you had a +5 implant to these two, perception and willpower. Then you would get 2,700 skill points per hour if you were an Omega. Of course, if you were an Alpha, you would have that. So that would be 1,350 skill points per hour. But yeah, don't remap in the beginning of the game because you would train every single other skill group so goddamn slow, and it will just be, yeah, it will be a complete mess. So let's just plug it in. Yes. So we have now plugged it in. And as we can see, let's just go to a character. We now have 21 in perception. You can go to augmentations and you can see slot 1. You have 10 slots for implants, slot 1 through 5, of course, being the attribute slots, and slot 6 through 10 are other kinds of implants. For instance, they are usually implants that improve things that you can also train. So there is, for instance, an implant that allows you to, let's just see if I can find it. Where is rapid firing? Here. So there is, for instance, an implant that you can plug into your brain that would increase your rate of fire with missiles, just like the skill, but they would stack, and they usually go from +1% all the way up to +5%. 5%. Then you also have set items in terms of skill, in terms of implants, and I think they usually only give you +3 to the attribute, but then they have a bonus. Let's just say +3 rapid fire with missiles. And then if you collect the entire set, then you would get a sort of bonus, a set bonus, basically. You know, set items from other games. But these, of course, cost money. And if you ever were to lose your pod while, we will cover jump clones because that's the sort of exception to that rule. If I were to go out now in my ship would get blown up, and then my pod would get blown up, so I would technically die in Eve. Then I would lose this implant, and I would have to buy it anew. So in terms of implant, let's just look here. We can go to implants. Yeah, so these are skill hardwiring. These are the other skill types that I was talking about. Implant slot 1. And these you can see here. These are the set that I was talking about. You need the entire, this called Genolution Core Augmentation CA1. If we go to implant slot 2, you would see the Genolution Core Augmentation CA4 being the other set in this item here. If you had all 5 of them, then you would get the bonus effect here. But in terms of implant, we want to come down to the bottom here. You can actually see this is the +1. It costs just 80,000 ISK, but you can very quickly see the price going up by quite a lot. So where's the +3? Yeah, so 80,000 for +1, 3.5 million for +2, almost 12 million for +3, 25 million for +4, and almost 150 million for +5 bonus to perception. So if you plug in a +5 set, you need to be very careful not to lose your pod. And of course, these implants, they also require skills. Let's just see here. So the standard +1 just requires cybernetics 1 and science 3. And I won't show everyone, but if we just go to the +5, first of all, you need to be Omega in order to plug them in. But then you would need cybernetics 5, and I think it just goes up 1 level. So if we take the +3, yeah, you can still ignore that. Also, okay, so where does it shift? Okay, so you just need, so it goes from +1 to +3, needing just cybernetics 1, and then 4 needing cybernetics 4, and 5 needing cybernetics 5, and you cannot equip 4 and 5 because you need to be Omega. Okay, I didn't actually know that. I thought it was you needed cybernetics 2 to equip the +2, but you don't actually need that. But yeah, you can get these through, you can loot them, I think. I'm pretty sure they are lootable objects. But yeah, you can definitely get them from mission rewards. And I think you might actually, when you do the career agents, it wouldn't surprise me if you get a full set of +1 implants. But we will see that once we get there. So I think for now we will end this episode here.
You can learn more about being a New Eden capsuleer. For now, you can close the agency.
So you just wanted me to open it to close it. Okay, thanks,
Though
Aura.
there are thousands of copies of Aura in New Eden, I am glad to be your Aura. Have I said too much? My sentimentality protocols may need adjusting. Now it's time for you to venture out into the stars. Go forth and show New Eden what you are truly made of.
Yes, ma'am. So, as I was saying, I think I'll end the episode here. But please let me know any thoughts you have, any feelings you have towards the series, and any feedback. What you want to see more of, what you don't want to see. But yeah, as I was saying, I think I will cut most of this stuff out unless there is something new to talk about in terms of items and fitting and things like that. And then we will get into a more regular pace once we have completed all of the career agents and actually sign up to do faction warfare. And one other thing I would just like to say is that I talked about it briefly. I have transferred Plex to this account. I don't think I will be using it. Come to think of it, I think I will try and actually stay an alpha clone because I have never actually done that, and just see how far it can actually take me being an alpha clone, and how far you can actually get in faction warfare and things like that, and just, try and have fun as an alpha. Also, it will be a good sort of a way to show you guys that you can definitely play the game as an alpha clone, because I know you can. I'm just not sure sort of where the line is drawn, what you can and cannot do, but we can find out together. I think it will be a good way, instead of me just plexing up and you sitting there and going, oh, but I am not Omega, I'm just alpha, and I don't know what to do now. So I think I won't be plexing this account. I think I'll actually transfer this back to my main account. So, but as always, guys, thanks for all the fish. Please let me know any feedback you have towards me, the series, anything regarding the channel. But for now, take care. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.